Come to Helmuth Ford, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
Welcome in. Time for Tuesday Night Tune-Up TNT live here on Steve Shuttler Media, Facebook, and YouTube. Maybe you're listening in a little bit later on Skunk River Radio. We are live from our brand new venue that is hosting us this year, and that is Rock Island Tap in Oskaloosa. And we're going to start off with a bang. We're starting off with Josh from Rock Island Tap. Safe and Curtis are with us once again. Safe, take it away.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome back to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We are so glad to be back on the air after a long, long off season. We got Curtis Vanderwall back with us here, and we have Josh here with the Rock Island Tap, the newest host venue of TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. And Josh, I know that there's a lot of different things that go on here at the Tap, and you have a lot of exciting events coming up here. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit what's going on here at the Tap?
Thanks, Safe. We've got a few upcoming events. We've got Darkly going on through May 20th. It's going to be every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. We've got the Mondo Dukes coming in this Saturday, April 25th from 7 to 10 p.m. Bingo this Sunday, April 26th from 1 to 3, and Nick Ryan and Wicker next Thursday, April 30th from 7 to 10 p.m. And Saturday, May 9th, we've got a lip sync battle from 9 p.m. to midnight. Saturday, May 16th, we've got David Watson for live music. Sunday, May 31st, we've got live bingo again from 1 to 3.
Holy cow, that's a lot of different events going on here.
We've got a lot going on here.
I think we ought to do the lip sync battle. Curtis, that could be a lot of fun.
I think you're right, except I'll be out of town that night. But
you're killing the vibe here.
Otherwise, we would be a shoe-in for the first place.
We would be. We could do, left turn.
I was thinking the Saturday Night Live thing, where you just bob your head,
Oh, yeah.
The rocks.
We could do tequila.
Night of the Roxbury.
That's right. We'll take that. No, I tell you, Josh, that's a really. First of all, thank you for letting us be here. This is a great venue, and obviously has been a staple in the town for quite a while. But kudos to you guys, Wade and everybody here for getting that type of entertainment. You talk about that. That's 3 or 4 weeks here of pretty solid things to do, other than go to the races.
Absolutely, Wade does a great job of lining bands up, and it's a great venue for it. And yeah, even if you're not necessarily looking for a adult beverage situation, a lot of other great drinks here, and the atmosphere here is so cool to walk into a little bit of, Mahaska County, Oskaloosa history here. It's quite amazing. It's so amazing in here.
You're right. The decor here is just literally will take you back in time every direction that you look. It's amazing, and don't sleep on that Sunday bingo. I know my better half has and some of her friends come to that sometimes, and they have a great time. So really fun stuff coming up for us.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Josh, for coming on tonight. We know that the bar actually is, for being a Tuesday night, there's some people down there, so we better let you get back to it. We appreciate you coming on here tonight, man.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Not a problem.
You guys have a good one.
All right, folks, we're going to let Josh get out of here. We'll be back after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Krista Sellers, driver of the 7K Figure 8 race truck. I race at local figure 8 tracks across southern Iowa. One of my good sponsors is CJ at Sigourney Motors. Next time you or someone you know is looking for a good used vehicle or in need of some minor repairs, you can contact CJ at Sigourney Motors. Give them a call at 641-224-8056 or stop by 705 East Jackson Street in Sigourney, Iowa. Hope to see you at the races or at CJ's shop.
At Copeland Auto Body, we strive to be the area's consistent provider of advanced collision repair. We want all of our customers to have a stress-free experience when they bring their car to Copeland Auto Body. Give them a call at 641-653-2140. Find them online at CopelandAutoBody.com. Copeland Auto Body, located in Hedrick, Copeland Collision Center in Oskaloosa, and Copeland Towing and Recovery in Sigourney. For auto body and towing for Hedrick, Oskaloosa, and Sigourney, see Copeland Auto Body.
At Nutrien Ag Solutions, we are dedicated to your success. We partner with growers like you to expand your possibilities with unparalleled offerings. Your unique challenges are met with more customized solutions than anyone else can offer. With you, we're feeding the future together.
Stop by James Family Greenhouse and Produce in Sigourney. They have a variety of hanging baskets, annuals, shrubs, perennials, trees, mulch, and vegetable plants. Plus, you can spruce up your landscape with yard decor or decorate the inside of your home with home decor. James Family Greenhouse is also a great place to stop in for some gift ideas. You got to stop in and see it all for yourself. James Family Greenhouse at 701 East Jackson in Sigourney. And be sure to follow their page on Facebook. Hey, we are back here live at Rock Island Tap in Oskaloosa for Tuesday Night Tune-Up. It's the season debut. We do thank all of our sponsors. We haven't been able to do that yet. That is Sigourney Motors, Copeland Auto Body, Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, James Family Greenhouse, Sigourney Body Shop, Oski Dental, and Signs Plumbing, as well as Vans Racing. Speaking of which, we've got Mr. Van himself, Mr. Curtis Vanderwall, along with Safe Grafke, along with our guest for today, Mr. Dustin Griffiths. And Safe, I'll let you take it away.
Welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and it is that time of the night. You either love him or hate him. Going into his possible final season of racing.
The 11th
annual retirement party of Dustin
Tell myself
Griffiths.
every year I'm going to retire. Just doesn't work out.
Dustin, thanks for coming on and being with us tonight as we get closer and closer to the season opener here at the Southern Iowa Speedway. And, you know, talking off camera here a little bit, just about the amount of wins that you've had. You know, it seems to keep growing in numbers quite a bit.
Yeah, I've had a pretty good career. I've been pretty fortunate. I got a lot of knowledge backing me up. You know, my dad raced for a lot of years, and that helped me going in, and he's taught me a lot. And the stock car stuff, you know, neither one of us really knew a whole lot going into it, and we've kind of just learned ourselves the ins and outs of that, and got hooked up with Johnny Spa. He builds a good race car, and he's been a tremendous amount of help, too, in my stock car program. Anytime I got questions, he's got an answer, and we've worked together pretty good testing out some stuff that's really grown my program and probably helped his out some too.
Absolutely. And you know, it seems like we're seeing this trend right now, especially in, you know, the hobby stock class. We're seeing a lot of, you know, drivers of before coming back. You know, you have Chris Walker and a few other guys starting to step back into these, you know, cars and get back in it. You see some, you know, new faces as well, like, you know, Mike Sitzma, the Undertaker from right here in Oskaloosa, getting into racing as well. So, Dustin, you know, the drivers in the hobby stock class keep getting better and better. What are some of the things you really have to be dialed in to win a hobby stock feature at the Southern Iowa Speedway?
There's a lot of good competition out there. Braden Wood, he's going to be a force to reckon with. You know, last year he was getting really good. And, you know, he's only going to get better at a young age. I remember being that age trying to win some races. There's a lot of tough guys out there. And, you know, to win, you got to race against tough competition. It'll only make you better. And he's doing a great job. I see him getting some wins this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's the thing is it's great that we're seeing the spark in racing starting to come back. You know, one thing everyone's always talked about, the cost of racing, the cost of everything is just growing. I mean, you see it from the tire side, the chassis side, the engine side, and then, you know, looking at fuel prices and everything right now. But
Shoot, we see
I'd
it at
s-
the grocery store. We see
Yeah,
it, you know,
but the
everywhere.
thing is,
everything costs a lot more right now.
Yeah, and everyone says, racing's another full-time job. It is, but we're still seeing this sport grow, which is, I think, a tremendous thing. And the years you have behind you, Dustin, in racing, what are some of the big things right now that you really have to bear in on everything that you've learned?
Oh, I mean, in the stock cars, shocks and tires are a big deal. You got to have a good set of shocks. You got to have good tires. You got to have a good handling car. Hobby stocks, the tires, you can get by with them a little bit longer than you can in a stock car. I would say hobby stocks, several dollars cheaper to run, but I can tell you right now, they're no easier to drive. With no quick steer, I mean, those things are a handful, especially if they're not handling good.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dustin. I've often said to whether it's fans or other racers, the hardest race car on any night to drive at the Southern Iowa Speedway is a fast hobby stock, because of the things
Or a
that you.
slow one, trust me.
Well, as well. So, but I mean, you mentioned that, right? The steering's really slow with the stock box, and they limit you on how fast the steering can be. For the longest time, we had drum brakes in the back of those cars, and no floater, no disc brakes, no brake proportioner like we have in a stock car, or modified or sport mod. Just all those things. The street tire side of it. There's just a lot of things that go into that, and I'm 100% with you. I think that even though the hobby stock deal is somewhat looked at as a lower level, I'm confident, and you prove it, and there's several others that have proved it through the years. You win in hobby stocks, you set yourself up pretty well to win in other classes.
I agree.
Not without trouble or not without trying, but you've cemented the foundation to be successful in other things.
Yeah, the biggest thing I learned about the difference in the two is in the stock car, I got to keep my wheel really close to me, not give myself the chance to oversteer it, because I'm so used to having to turn that hobby stock half a mile to be able to turn it,
Yeah.
And then you get in that stock car and you try to turn it that much because your steering wheel's way out in front of you, and then you get oversteering it a whole heck of a lot. And I learned that a lot in my first year. Once I moved the steering wheel closer, I was good to go. But I would say if you can drive a hobby stock smooth around the track, and be fast and win in it, you got pretty good odds in a stock car if you can get in a pretty good handle in one and get a feel for it. I mean, Bradley Graham, look at him. He's doing excellent in a stock car already, and he hasn't ran that many races, and he was good in a hobby stock. I mean,
yeah, no doubt. I think you're spot on. If you would just walk everybody back in history, right? Your dad competed very successfully for a number of years, for as long as I can remember.
My dad
right?
raced about 20 years. He started when I was 10 months old. That's how he got the number 10. So I've been going to the racetrack for a very, very long time. Spent a lot of my childhood there, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But once it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get away from.
Yeah, no doubt. What was the first year that you got behind the wheel then? And did you guys somewhat refresh my memory? I should know this, but I'll be very honest, I don't. Did you guys ever compete at the same time, or did he kind of go out?
No,
and
we
you came
raced.
in,
We
or?
raced against each other for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
It was pretty fun. I ran him into the wall once. That didn't end up very good.
On the track and off the track.
But it was a lot of fun getting to race with him, and
Awesome.
And I think, this is my 25th year of racing, so I think I started around 2001 or somewhere right in there. 14 years old. Never raced anything in my life. Just jumped in a hobby stock, went out there and did what I could. I think I ended up getting a couple of wins my first year, and there was a lot of good competition back then. It was full fields. You'd go to Des Moines, you'd run two features worth, 24 cars.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same as it used to be, but racing against them tougher guys back in the day made me what I am today.
Sure.
And that's what I tell younger people, that are getting into it. Hey, you're not going to go out there. You might not go out there and win your first year, but if you keep trying and you keep pushing hard and keep working towards it, it'll come. It's just seat time.
I think you're spot on, man.
It'll come.
There's a little bit of perseverance side of it, right? That you brought up a good point there, and it just made me think of something. And Safe, I know it's kind of your turn here, but I'm going
all good.
to horn in on it a little bit. But talk a little bit about, I hear a lot of people or see a lot of people on social media talking about the good old days or full fields of this or full fields of that. I think there's a couple things that's a little bit of a misnomer, right? Are there more race cars at the track? Yeah, possibly. In a lot of cases there are, but they're also divided up now. Instead of in 3 classes, they're divided into 5 classes, right? So
right, yeah.
Even if you had the same number of cars, it would look a lot thinner. But kind of compare racing back then to the amount of work and how hard things are today, because it seemed like back then there may have been 10 or 12 guys that could win, and today literally everybody in every class has a pretty, if things go their way, they got a good shot, and they're not racing against you. They've got a pretty good shot to win.
There's plenty of people out there that can beat me.
Well, sure, but you understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, especially in this area, and in my opinion, mainly at Oskaloosa, we see those guys that run Oski and are successful there. They go other places and they're they clean up when they go other places. You do really good, obviously, at the other tracks that you go to, and so does everybody else in every other class, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day when I first started, stuff was a lot different back then. There was a lot more cars. Of course, stuff was a lot cheaper back then. People could afford to race 3, 4, 5 nights a week, as versus now, everything costs more. I mean, not as many people are continuing to race. It's hard for the younger kids to get into it, without a little bit of backing. I like to see that they're trying to bring in more classes, a beginner's class like they are at Oski, and hopefully they can monitor it and keep it a level playing field, and I think it'll be a really good class,
Yeah.
But don't, if you let it get out of control and let it get too expensive, then it takes them lower budget people out of the game. I don't have the highest budget out there. I just, I work hard and make do with what I can. I think I do pretty good. I can't speak for how stock cars were back then. I know that they've changed a heck of a lot just since I started racing stock cars. My first year, I think, in a stock car was 2015. I raced like 2 races for Roger Kelderman, and that absolutely got me hooked on stock cars. Then I was in trouble, bought the car off him, and raced full-time in 2016. And, I mean, I raced that car for several years until I think the last year I raced it was 2021, and then I got one of Johnny's cars in 2022. And just the difference between those 2 cars is unreal. I mean, it's changed a lot in just the 10 or 12 years that I've raced stock cars.
So here's how I feel about this is, okay, you talk about the good old days. You look back at, the early 2000s, stuff like that. Like we've been saying, yeah, there were a lot more cars, but the thing is, with time, too, technology changes so much. I mean, where I work, we work with Kelderman Airite a lot on stuff. They come over, we can 3D scan frames now. And I know that happens in the racing world. Wind tunnels, the technology going behind the shocks now and everything like that. Before, even when I was racing back in 2015, hobby stocks, there's a Bilstein shock package that's this, and this. You get them all for like $600 or whatever. And when the track gets like this, you change them or whatever, you just put them on. But now you have guys fine-tuning this stuff so much. I mean, spending hours and hours. I mean, the technology behind this now is so different. And that's why these cars keep, evolving so much. And you're seeing more aerodynamics and trying to get a little more downforce here and trying to do that. And we're trying to cool the engines differently. And you're seeing all of this different stuff happen that, no one had in the early 2000s, not even really the mid 2000s, but things change and the price of stuff changes because of that. I mean, if we were 3D scanning frames, I think back in the early 2000s, if that thing was a thing then, the cost would show that too, but we didn't have that. And you had a lot more, guys running cars back then that either, a lot of them had their own mechanic shops, or they had their own this, or, the guys that weren't, they weren't necessarily working for some of these huge corporations where you're working these hours, and if you have to work later, that's how it is. Everything has changed so much, but and they say, oh, the good old days, it was a lot better back then. We still have some of the best racing humanly possible today. Like, if you looked at how some of the finishes are today compared to back then, they're just as good, if not better. The level of talent we have now is, I'd say, still matched to what we saw back then. And so, for me as, being younger, looking at how it was when I grew up to now, for me, I see we still have some of the best drivers. I have always said this, and I will stand behind it, is drivers from Southeast Iowa can go anywhere within the Midwest, heck, even sometimes out to the coast and whatnot, and be top 5 cars, top 3 cars even, and it shows every time there's a race somewhere or a special. You're seeing Dustin. We've seen you win some, Curtis. We see Zach Vanderbeek. We see McGuire DeYoung, Braden Carter, Caden Carter. I mean, we literally have some of the best drivers in the area, and that is without a doubt. And so, I just think it's funny when people say racing back then to now. We still have great racing.
That's just
I mean, it's crazy to think that people say that, because it's like, have you been to the track lately? Have you seen a race?
Yeah.
We're so lucky. We're so fortunate,
The racing nowadays is just as good, just with less cars. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many times in the last 2 or 3 years we've had 2, 3, and 4 wide coming down to the checkered and the stock cars at Oskaloosa.
Yep,
I
you're
mean,
exactly right.
a couple times last year, I mean, we're within inches of each other.
Literally.
I mean, there's some good racing in the stock cars over there.
I think you're right, and that's been 25, 30 plus years in the making, right? I mean, IMCA style stock cars, they just continue to deliver great racing.
I mean, you got to expect it from back in the late 80s. I go looking back on pictures of my dad's old cars and stuff when they just chopped the roof off of them and built a cage right inside of there, and I spent a lot of days out in the garage with him, had a lot of fun, learned a lot of stuff, and got in a little bit of trouble while I was at it for taking the lug nuts off of his wheels on his modified, and he went to load it and all the tires fell off. So that got me kicked out of the garage for a couple of weeks. But, I wouldn't give it for the world for everything that he's taught me, and everything I've learned from him. I greatly appreciate him, and he still to this day teaches me stuff. I learn something new from him all the time. And he always worked on all his own stuff back then, built his own motors for years. Still builds some of our own motors every once in a while, so.
Yeah, having somebody like your dad in your corner and having a dad that did the same thing for him, I know how lucky I am, and I know how lucky you are, and your dad's let's just be honest, your dad's a big ingredient into the success that you've been able to enjoy as a driver and in everything, and I think it's so cool though. Earlier you talked about how you grew up in the shop, right? I know my youngest, Cole, he did the same thing, right? He was in the shop literally every day with me from the word go. I think you learned so much just by being involved in it.
For sure. My 2 girls, they love being out there. They love going to the racetrack. My youngest, Izzy, she's always wanting to help change tires or help set the air pressure, help do whatever my dad or me or Braxton's doing. She always wants to help.
That's awesome.
She helps Braxton quite a bit, put mud plugs and stuff like that on, and I appreciate all the help he gives me, and he likes my kids just like they're his own, and he doesn't mind her helping at all, and that means a lot.
That's wonderful. Yeah,
That's
no doubt,
awesome.
buddy. No
That's
doubt.
a lot. You have your dad helping you, but I know that it takes a small village to not just make a race team go around the track on a Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night, whatever night it may be, but it takes a lot of other help from a lot of wonderful different sponsors and families and things like that. And I see that you have your list out that's always spectacular as always.
Yeah,
so,
we got a lot of sponsors.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead here for the next few minutes and tell us who all we
give
got
them a
on
bit
the
of a
10G
shout-out.
cars.
Yeah, everybody I got behind me, Norris Asphalt and Paving and Dowd Stone, Mike McClure with MCC Farms and MCC Rentals, Tony Long with Long's Housing, Fast Shafts, Aiden Fowler Photography, Carol Hoover Racing Photos, Greg Young Toyota out of Atumwa, 1015 Transit, Mad Ave Quick Shop out of Ottumwa, Iowa Explosion Cheer and Tumbling, Tom and Cindy Drost. They've done a lot for me the last couple of years, and I can't express how much that means, and I appreciate them. Champion Bowl, Fowler Construction and Spray Foam. Sharky Frame's another one that does a lot for me. Him and my dad are really good friends, and he always backs me 100%, and anything I ever need help with, he's always there to help. When I rolled last year, I wouldn't have got back out on the track at the end of last year if it wasn't for him. He did a lot of work on that car for me, and he made it go good again. And
That guy's magic.
I
He's
didn't
an
think,
absolute
what,
wizard.
I thought it was junk that night,
Yeah.
and he worked his magic and brought it back. I got superior steering wheels. Everybody that helps me, Braxton, James, my dad. My dad puts a lot of hours in throughout the week out in the garage, day in, night, I work during the day. He's always out there working on the cars. I wouldn't be able to race like I do without him. My mom for backing me, my wife and the kids for allowing me the time to work on my stuff on the weekends and at night, and supporting me at the track. All my fans and my family and friends that go watch me. I got a lot of fans and family. I got Belger Fab and Repair. He got on this year. Encrypted Audience. And then Andrew down at Schroeder Graphics, he always puts a good wrap on it for me.
Absolutely.
And Mid-State Machine for making it go. And then Johnny Spa Race Cars for building a good, safe car. I've rolled that thing twice and haven't been hurt too bad yet. So that second one last year, that bout did me in.
But you're still here. You haven't retired yet.
I'm still here. I thought I was going to be done after the end of that, but I healed up, and it didn't take me but a couple days. I was ready to go again.
Yeah, that one there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but tell the story a little bit. I mean, you rung your bell pretty darn good in that deal, right?
Yeah, it did. I just, driver mistake. I just got it in there a little hot and got over the edge, and away she went. And it ended up cracking my helmet, hurting my neck pretty bad, and it rung my bell pretty good. It took me a few minutes to collect my marbles on that one. And, I was sore for a long, long time after that. And,
We're not 20 anymore, bud.
no. And, the hardest thing was it scared my kids pretty bad.
Sure.
It happened right
Yeah,
in front
right
of them.
in front of
And, you got to think about all that stuff when you're in there. So
Yeah,
It's
no
not
doubt.
easy. You strap in and everyone talks about, oh, yeah, they're fine. It's like
there's
it's
always
different.
a risk.
I don't care what you step into. You get in a race car, you get on a motorcycle, anytime,
Yeah.
but we're glad you're okay from that. We're glad to have you back again for another year.
For
at
one
least.
more year
At
anyway,
least
right?
one more year. So
We'll see at the end
maybe
of this
the
year.
retirement
Right.
tour. We'll see.
Right,
So
I'm going to hold my breath and wait by the phone. Okay?
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. and
Curtis will
spending
get
some
the
time.
call at the end of the
There you
year or
go.
next winter. Hey, I decided not to retire. I need like 15 or 20 tires to
There we
start
go.
next year.
I can hear it
Here's
now.
my list of
How
parts
much of
I
my
need.
money do you need?
Well, thanks for coming on again, Dustin. We'll let you
Appreciate
get back
it.
to it as you
Absolutely,
get ready
buddy.
for some racing. So, all right, folks, this has wrapped up our interview here on TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We'll be back talking about some results here in just a few minutes.
Looking for a laid-back bar with a great selection? Head to the Rock Island Tap at 206 Rock Island Avenue in Oskaloosa. With 24 beers on tap, you'll find everything from craft brews to your favorite domestics, plus whiskey and ice-cold Bloody Marys. Grab a snack with popcorn, chips, or a frozen pizza, or better yet, bring your own food and make it your kind of night. Just remember, 21 and over only. And yes, you'll need your ID. The Rock Island Tap in Oskaloosa. Simple, relaxed, and all about good drinks and good times.
If you've had a run-in with a deer, a fender bender, or any sort of accident with your vehicle, take it to Tony and the guys at Sigourney Body Shop at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. They'll get you back on the road in no time, and Tony will help you out with a free estimate. It's service with a smile at Sigourney Body Shop. Give them a call at 641-622-2022, or again, stop in at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. Schedule your next dental appointment with Dr. Dan Schuster at Oski Dental, 641-673-4845. They're accepting new patients. Oski Dental will file all of your insurance forms for you. They're a Delta dental provider. And Oski Dental is located at 902 South 17th Street in Oskaloosa. That's Oski Dental, 641-673-4845. We make smiles happen at Oski Dental. Signs Plumbing, offering top quality plumbing services, boilers, and general HVAC and furnace repairs. Call James at 641-919-8973. You can also find Signs Plumbing on Facebook. For all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling services, call Signs Plumbing at 641-919-8973. Signs Plumbing at 208 Ackerd Street in Harper, serving the surrounding area. For top quality service, call Signs Plumbing.
Vans Racing in Oskaloosa is your local one-stop shop for all racing and performance-related parts, sales, and service. With a combined 50-plus years of racing knowledge and experience, Curtis and Cole are ready to help you go faster, have more fun, and save money. From driver safety equipment to race tires and racing fuel to racing lubricants, Vans Racing has you covered with all major brands. Stop by 705 South D Street in Oskaloosa or call 641-660-8900 to experience the Vans Racing difference.
Signs Plumbing, offering top quality plumbing services. Iowa Law Enforcement Academy requirements. Candidates should have an associate degree and or at least 5 years of supervisory or administrative experience. This position offers a competitive salary ranging from $65,000 to $75,000 plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus and a full benefits package. Apply today by contacting Sigourney City Hall, emailing Ashley at SigourneyCouncil.com or visiting Sigourney.com. The City of Sigourney is an equal opportunity employer. All righty, we are back here at the Rock Island Tap in Oskaloosa, where we're going to be every Tuesday night for the next several months for Tuesday Night Tune-Up. Again, thanks to Dustin Griffiths for being our first guest of the year. Let's take it back now to Safe and Curtis for the rest of our show, guys.
Welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and it is that time of the night where we get to talk about what is going on in the world of motorsports, dirt track racing.
Yeah, it's
just talking dirt track this year, folks.
Yes.
We are not getting into IndyCar, NASCAR, any of that silly
None of
stuff.
That stuff. So, yeah, no, you're exactly right. You know, the professional series, they've kind of been, you know, they generally kick off mid-February, late February. Yep. So all four of those in the sprint car and late model stuff have kind of been going. Interestingly, around here, we kind of had a little bit of a start to the season, and then Mother Nature
won a bunch of features.
Yeah,
Mother Nature, man,
she's
I tell you what,
still undefeated.
Still undefeated. Yeah,
in history. So
it is.
But there've been some, a few tracks in the area that have got. I think Boone's got a couple races in. The Sprint Invaders
Stewart just raced.
Yep. So hopefully the weather pattern breaks up here, and we can get a few more Friday, Saturday nights, and then of course next week starting Wednesday night. So looking forward to that. But the four main series, and when we say that, we mean World of Outlaws late models, World of Outlaws sprint cars, Lucas Oil late models, and then the High Limit sprint car series. They've all been in action here recently.
They have been. And the first thing I want to kind of start with here before we get into some stuff is I want to talk a little bit about the High Limit series, is because we are starting to see that group now broadcast live on Fox Sports 1.
Tonight, right?
Tonight.
Yep.
They're at Eagle Raceway.
Just over the state line there in Nebraska.
Correct. So for me, I
Pretty
think
racy little joint.
Great track.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to go to Eagle once for a race. Fantastic racing. But, you know, I bring this up every year, and I bring this up a lot, is the shift of the High Limit series is unreal. And I
don't think it can be ignored.
No, because
I think the World of Outlaws has tried their best to ignore it.
They have.
And I don't think badly about the World of Outlaws.
No,
right?
neither do I.
I just think that High Limit has brought enough extra different neat things into the fold. And they've got a really good series going right now.
They have, and that's the thing. Fox Sports 1. I mean, growing up, for me, as a young kid, TNT watching World Outlaws.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. And now High Limits is like, hey, remember when you guys used to do that? We can do that too. So we're going to start, and they're getting it sprinkled in there pretty well.
Yeah, you're right. You know,
it's crazy, the shift. It's happening a lot faster, and we're pretty aggressive.
Yeah, you're right. You know, back in the day when I was a little kid, so eons ago, I can remember getting to stay up on Thursday nights to watch, like you said, TNT, Thursday Night Thunder, on ESPN, and it was usually USAC sprint cars or midgets on either dirt or pavement tracks. Then it kind of went to Saturday Night Thunder, but again, had a great following and did amazing for a while. Then you're exactly right. You know, the Nashville Network kind of stepped in there, and they started to show, I think, the Knoxville Nationals and then some of the other big races. And now we're into this streaming era, if you will, that literally you can watch any race from almost anywhere that you want to.
Oh, literally. You can watch it off your phone. You can watch it on a tablet, laptop. You can hook it up to your TV. It is crazy where we have got.
The access to it is unparalleled.
And for me, you know, here's where I love-hate all of this is the accessibility is so much there. Costs a lot, to be honest. If you're only a fan of maybe, you know, wing sprint car, you're shelling out a pretty good amount.
You got to have two subscriptions.
You have two, because you have Dirt Vision, which is pretty pricey in my opinion. I understand the amount of races. You break it down to the dollars, cents,
blah,
blah, blah. Then you have to buy Flow. To me, the thing that I like about Flow, though, is there's so much other stuff with it. Dirt Vision, you get late models, sprint cars,
modified,
non-wing, whatever.
Yeah.
It's sad to me.
You flip over to Flow, you get the other two major series, High Limit and Lucas Oil. Plus you get all the weekly stuff. You get all the USAC stuff. You get the Cars Tour. You get all of this
so
stuff.
Much snowmobile stuff in the winter. They have bowling. They have
wrestling,
cheering. It's like,
I mean, it's
crazy.
It's
when
wild.
You see what Flow's really involved in, it's like they are more than just like this.
Racing is a big
There's
part
like
of what they do, but it's
a
not
huge
all.
network. It's crazy.
You're right. It is. So.
Anyway, we're going to get talking about some results now.
Yeah,
that's probably what the people want me to start talking about.
Absolutely. So it's you know. As the weather's warm, the series have migrated a little bit north, and
we're getting closer.
And
if you go to Knoxville right now, you can see them. They're starting to roll in here for a great weekend at Knoxville for the Chevy Dealer Clash. So, you know, their last rate was over in the great state of Indiana. Another one of those kind of epicenters for
some would say the epicenter.
They're more known for their non-wing, but they have very good winged racing.
Absolutely.
So they were at Tri-State Speedway, which is a fantastic track. I love watching.
It's just amazing to get to witness.
Man,
the race
I tell you what, to me that's one of the still on the bucket list. Haven't quite made it there yet, but I'm going to. So
no doubt.
Sunshine picking up a win, had a very interesting post-race. And
he did. He kind of.
I don't know.
I don't think he meant to, but he kind of threw shade at the wing cars.
Man, he did. Hard shade, too.
Yeah.
If I were a car owner, I don't know. Anyway, then we saw Emerson Axum. And, you know, the funny thing is, then you have Sheldon Haudenschild. So out of the three, the winner and second place both come from the non-wing world, winning at a track that's very known for non-wing racing.
You're exactly right,
which is nice to see that.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll know this, but is this Sunshine's? Was that for his first win since his injury at Eldora last year? So that's a big hurdle.
That's a big
overcome
hurdle
by him and that Clausen Marshall team. You know,
absolutely. And then to look at the point standing, you have David Gravel, Carson Macedo, and Buddy Kofoid as your top three, and none of them really were in the picture.
No,
which is crazy.
I thought I saw something about Gravel's crew chief putting coil overs on the front. And that's kind of been a big thing in the high limit thing with Tanner Thorson running really well. He's kind of gone back in time to his father-in-law Stevie Smith's setup book and been doing that. But
But
more,
you're starting to see, the Blaneys have always been really out there with the whole torsion setup.
Yep.
And I remember going
the
to
offset wing now.
I
and all
remember
that
going
stuff.
to Eldora for Kings Royal and seeing one of the Blaney's cars with the torsion bar suspension. I'm sitting there looking at it, and I think everyone was, and we're like, there ain't no way that thing's going to compete that good. And then it's like he's running mid-pack at Kings Royal, and it's like they kind of are still onto something here using very old technology that really isn't in the picture anymore, but it's becoming a thing again.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just different, right? There's a million ways to skin a cat, and these guys are just working on that. So
Sometimes, old school still works out.
yeah, well,
a lot
and
of people don't want to believe it, but
yeah, and even just like in life, right? What once was old is new again, right? I saw a little gal last weekend wearing bell-bottom pants around, right? That was from when my parents were, younger. So like that's interesting, how things kind of are that cycle and so many things in life. So switching gears from the World of Outlaw sprint cars to the World of Outlaw late models. Tell us about last weekend there.
So they ran the Illinois 100. Great race.
Tradition.
Big
kickoff in that state of Illinois.
That's what I love about some of the late model racing is, I mean, I like sprint car racing, but the traditions behind late model racing, I think, are so more prominent in a sense of.
I think there's more.
You know what I
them.
mean? Yeah.
Not to say there's not tradition in sprint cars, because there certainly is, right?
There is. Very rich, but still.
It tends to be these major marquee things that happen a few times a year where regionally in the late model stuff, there are just quite a few more of those things that seem to be happening.
Absolutely. So the Illinois 100, we saw Bobby Pierce pick up a win, and then, a name that is getting more and more said, Nick Hoffman. And then you had Brandon Shepard.
Yep.
That was your top three. And
three really, really good cars in the dirt late model world right now. And I think Nick Hoffman is – not that Bobby Pierce is slipping, because he's obviously not, but I think that Nick Hoffman is so far this season has shown not that he was bad the last few years, but I think he's leveled up. He's one notch better than even he has been. And it's great to see because he's ultra talented. And
great kid from St. Louis.
Super smart chassis builder in the modified stuff. Dominated the UMP modified thing for years and years and years, and got an opportunity and moved
he's
up
been
to
running
late models
with it.
and he's picking them up, putting them down.
Wait till you hear the top three in points though.
Fire away.
Third I'm gonna say is the curveball. You have Nick Hoffman, Bobby Pierce, and man, it's been a minute since I've been able to say this name, but I like saying it. Tim McCready.
Yeah, you know what?
Holy cow.
He hasn't had the best last 4 or 5 years, but
the last 5 years have been rough.
Yeah, but he has won, couple Lucas Oil championships. I watched him win the Chili Bowl one year, and he's got a ton of talent, right? I think maybe at some point some of the setup stuff got a little bit away from him, but I think he's got that.
They're getting dialed back in. The last year and a half has been the best we've seen Tim McCready since, before COVID.
Yeah.
Really. So, we're saying that kind of that 2017, 2018 Tim McCready again, which is great. I mean, you want to talk about a household name in dirt late model racing.
Man, I tell you what, he's had a fabulous career, continues to do it. Obviously, his dad, Barefoot Bob, out in the Northeast Modifieds, absolute legend, one of the 2 or 3 greatest to ever do that, and just great to see. Great to see.
It is, absolutely. So now we're going to we'll actually go here to Lucas Oil late models next. So they had they're a little more spread out race wise. So their last race was,
weeks ago
end of March on the 29th at Atomic Speedway. Great track over there in Ohio.
Very racy.
The Bucky Springs 50 and the newest member of the Iowa clan. RTJ getting it done, picking up his first win of the year. And then
Yeah.
we saw Brandon Shepard and then Brandon Overton.
Yeah, exactly. Ricky Thornton and Anthony Burrows are back together.
They are.
In the Kohler Motorsports ride. And I think it's taken them just a little bit to kind of get, gelled up and on the same page. And who knows, maybe they were trying some things, but boy, they looked good.
We've seen that a lot too, where, guys leave a team and you either see some instant success, but then you see it kind of fade, but then come back, or you see it where they're in a slump and then they start to get out of that slump. And I think that's what we're going to see with that Kohler team this year is they started out kind of here, but, it's starting to go back up like how we know them. So
yeah, I think you're right. How's the points looking in that series?
Yeah, so Devin
far?
Moran is leading the points.
Last year's champion, off to a good start.
Absolutely. And then you see Hudson O'Neal and then Brandon Overton, Big Sexy.
Yeah, again, I think you take those three guys and you add Ricky Thornton to it and Jonathan Davenport and the top three from the World of Outlaw series, and that's a pretty strong, eight of the top 10 cars in the country right now. So
it's crazy.
Pretty cool to see that.
The level in the late model game right now is there's about 8 guys that get to a track, and it's a dogfight.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Someone might start back in the pack, but at the end of the night, there's going to be about 8 of them where it's an absolute dogfight.
And I think that you make such a good point because then it makes those 2 laps in qualifying. We've heard that for years on the sprint car side of things, right? That can make or break your whole night. The late model deal is exactly the same thing.
It is.
Now, I will say this. Earlier this year, like Devin Moran and Hudson O'Neal, they've had some off nights where they didn't get maybe qualified or through the heat race the right way, and they were still able to turn, a bad starting position into a good finish. It seems like we maybe see that a little bit more on the late model side than the sprint car side.
I agree. Well,
at
and
least from
laps
the wing side.
and laps come down to that too.
Right.
You're running
50, 75, 100 versus 25, 30, 35.
Yeah. That's the hard thing about wing sprint car racing is, and the drivers will tell you the same thing. The amount of laps we have to try to get back up there is hard. But, we see guys like Donnie Schatz do it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's possible. It's just a lot harder. It's a big challenge. Sprint car racing is so aerodynamic, follow the leader-ish,
it can be.
It just gets hard. You get in lap traffic, really bad dirty air in those cars affects it a lot different than a late model. And again, it comes down to laps.
Yeah, I think you're right. It still affects the late models, just maybe not to the same extent that we see in the sprint car deal. And that's been a contention of mine for a lot of years. I'd like to see him, if there's a way to maybe unhook the wing sprint cars a little bit, and make them, I don't want to say harder to drive, but make them handle not as good.
Yes, absolutely.
And go from there. And I don't say that to take anything away from wing sprint car drivers because they are absolutely.
They're basically getting in a fighter jet.
Yeah, right. That deal.
Crazy.
You look at an in-car camera from that, and I've raced for 35 years, and I still go, "What are you doing?" It's so unbelievable, and the speed with which things happen, and the precision that you've got to be. You've got a few inches either way. Of being fast or being spun out or last. So, speaking of last but not least.
Last but definitely not least. Yeah. Again, tune in after this to FS1. You can watch the High Limit Series at Eagle Raceway. I'm going to say probably Nebraska's best track.
I think you could make I think you could make that argument. There may be some people in Nebraska and Western Iowa that might disagree.
That's fine. You can go ahead and
but
great
tell
track.
us in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. So a race night. Their last race was at Lucas Oil Speedway. Another great track, and man, again another name that has not been said in a long time. But we saw the Madman, Kerry Madsen.
Yes.
Pick up a win with.
Did somebody say it was 5 years since his last National Series sprint car win?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's true. That is very true.
Does not seem possible with all the stuff he's done. But it's great to see.
Kerry's, I've been fortunate enough to talk to Kerry many a times, and for a while there, he was with Roth, and he wasn't necessarily picking wins up. He was always a top contender, but he was really focused on helping them. And this is the thing I find interesting about Kerry. He loves being on a motor development team. So he helped Roth figure out the Toyotas.
Deal. Yep.
They had him go over to
the Stewart deal.
To help Tony and then figure out a little more on these Ford engines, because if you look at Kerry when he got into those cars to where they were when they were done, and then to see the drivers that got into them and the success they had, it's because Kerry's doing all this legwork on the engine side. And he won't ever tell you that, but you know, because just talking to him and the way he's talked about and the way he's acted about it is he's there to help that program grow and blossom, because Kerry for a long time, and it'll be argued, is one of the best racers to come out of Australia. One of the best to be in a car. And so to me, it's awesome to see him pick up a win.
Yeah, very, very good to see.
I mean, him and his brother Ian, you know, two of the best to come over here from Australia and race and compete. So awesome for him.
Interesting rest of the podium.
Interesting rest of the podium, very much so. We saw Cy Lynch, who we haven't really heard necessarily a lot of.
He's been
out
on
of the last 5 years.
Yeah, he's been on the high limit deal for 2 or 3 years here, and has kind of been lingering in that 8th to 10th maybe area.
Normally,
but he put together a great race down at Lucas Oil. So
he did, and then Tanner Holmes, another one that we're going to be saying, I think a lot of here, and I hope so. Kind of the guy that started the whole idea of blogging about
huge social media
racing.
Following, and he was kind of the pioneer of that, or at least on the ground floor.
Oh, he definitely was, and that's what I like about Tanner is he brought that connection, so people have a real glimpse inside of what someone trying to make it onto a national circuit from a local go-kart standpoint was.
And so many people have really followed him from the cage kart deal into the sprint car deal, and for a while his sister was running as well, and then
Carly,
moving up to the 410 stuff, and then getting some rides, and now he's got this chance in the Booth 13. And boy, I tell you what, early in the season it's looking like their stock's on the rise in my eyes.
Absolutely. So points shakedown: Tanner Thorson, Aaron Reitzel, and Rico Abreu, and Rico again with Tony Stewart Racing now. And
definitely an interesting thing.
It is.
I think I think him and Reitzel were probably heading into the season were probably the two favorites for the high limit deal. But Tanner Thorson's snuck up there, and
he kind of did that last year too. I mean, Tanner's been coming on strong in the wing sprint car stuff, and he's
super smart, very, very good with the setup.
You're seeing this with the non-wing guys, though, because you see Sunshine, you see Tanner Thorson, you see Emerson Axon. You're starting to see the trend of these non-wing
Rico
guys.
for a long time.
Yeah,
was
Rico.
A midget guy,
it's crazy to see that.
Let me correct. Rico drove midgets. I was not trying to.
You're not making fun of his stature.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I will say this. One thing about Rico, I've never seen him not be awesome. And I didn't mean that just behind the wheel. I mean that out of the car. He's another one that's pretty big on the social media stuff.
He is.
He's putting in the work, and he's got a great program going, and now he's partnered that up with Tony Stewart's deal.
The brand marketing that him and Tanner and some of these guys, the brand marketing behind them that they've accomplished with website, you look at T-shirt sales, all that. I mean, he gets his dog involved.
I know.
Sheldon does the same thing.
Yep.
They have Pella, and
Pella the Husky, right?
Pella the Husky.
Yep.
You see Rico with his Aussie Doodle or Golden Doodle, whatever that is. I mean, it's just crazy to think of. You look back in the early years of racing. You see it when Steve Kinzer was racing, Doug Wolfgang, Sammy Swindell, stuff like that. T-shirt sales huge, but it was they weren't advertising that everywhere. They certainly didn't have their dogs and stuff involved. And now you're seeing
it's just a different deal.
Huge thing. It's crazy.
It's just really a window into their entire life.
It is absolutely.
From at the racetrack to at home to working out to at the truck stop to dog potty break. I mean, it's you see
crazy.
all of it. So,
it's so different now. The way not only has technology changed and the cars have the drivers changed, but technology changes. The social media side is crazy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Sammy Swindell or, Steve Kinzer or someone doing this back then? That
probably not going to happen.
No,
So-
but to
it's,
see
it's
that
really
now,
cool
it's
for
crazy.
fans, though.
It is.
you
It's
know, because-
amazing.
because you get literally
You can feel more connected
you're
than
more
just
insight
watching them.
than you've ever had. So
I think it's great.
I know I'm excited. What's coming up this weekend? Weather pending. We've got We've got CJ Marshalltown Friday night.
Yes.
We've got down at Memphis, Missouri, USMTS Friday, Saturday night. Knoxville Friday, Saturday night. World of Outlaws. What else is going on that you can think of, or did I steal?
I think you stole everything, but that's okay. I appreciate you knowing as well.
Doing my best. So.
Hey, and by the way, one new feature on the screen this year, guys, is our ticker at the bottom of the screen, and it has all of our area racetrack schedules for the year. So if people want to see what's coming up, they got that going across the screen.
Man,
the
look at
whole
this. Talking about evolving technology, TNT is evolving.
Yet again,
Look at that.
Steve is a few steps ahead of us. But
Steve
that's
and
pretty
Neil
normal.
have this covered, so good job to those
That's
two.
right. That's
Appreciate
right.
them both. So
They're awesome.
No,
So-
folks, we're just really excited to be back again. We want to thank the Rock Island Tap, Wade Davidson, his whole crew for giving us a new home here, letting us take their whole entire upstairs of the bar
That's right.
over on Tuesday nights. Thank you to Steve and Neil and them for coming from Sigourney, setting up, having faith that we can jabber for an hour.
Yeah,
and-
right. It's
and do
really
things.
really awesome.
It is.
So the to see the support that our local racing is getting, from Steve and his companies, and all that stuff is just really really great. So we look forward to a season full of fun guests and
Absolutely.
interesting talks, and I know I can't wait to get going.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we want to thank all of our fans who are watching, and we want to thank all the wonderful sponsors as well that have sponsored us throughout the years and this year as well. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and end the program here for Steve as they have a long drive back to the big town of Sigourney, Iowa.
I've
It is
ridden
a
with
long
Steve.
drive.
It is a long. It is a long drive with Steve driving.
questionable drive, too.
Absolutely. So, no. Again, we want to thank you all for tuning in this week, the season opener of TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up.
And again, thanks to Dustin for being in here as our first guest. Next week, Seth Minders is coming in as our guest for the show. So tune in next week, 7 o'clock. Be here in person at the Rock Island Tap. Get yourself a drink, hang out, watch the show live if you want, and be here in person. Thanks to all of our sponsors. As you mentioned, Rock Island Tap, our new host venue, Sigourney Motors, Sigourney Body Shop, Copeland Auto Body, Nutrient Ag Solutions in Keswick, James Family Greenhouse. Who else we got? Oski Dental, Signs Plumbing, and Vans Racing. That'll do it for this week's show. It's Tuesday Night Tune-Up here on Steve Shetler Media.